But also part of the work that we've been doing while we've been away is recruiting and training and developing of leaders. And here at Jersey Baptist Church, we're not led by one individual person, but we're actually led by a team of godly men. And the Bible calls this group of leaders elders. Now, of course, Jesus is the senior pastor of our church, and he's in charge of everything. But we do have a team approach to leadership here at church. And over the lockdown, our church members voted unanimously to receive Jim Naish as an elder. And I've invited Jim to share with us this morning a little bit of his journey of faith. So Jim, if you could join me up front, that'd be great. Now, Jim, we are so very happy to have you as a part of the team of elders here at church. I think folks would be interested to find out that actually you didn't grow up as a Christian, that actually you were quite a skeptic in most of your adult life. Can you share with us a little bit about the process of moving from skeptic to someone who actually said, yes, this is true? And what did that look like?
Yeah, I grew up in a non-Christian home till I was, around 40. I was an active atheist, someone who would defend atheism, be prepared to argue the point with anybody who fancied it, and I didn't hear any good arguments on behalf of God. And then around 40, I began to question what it actually was all about, what life was about. And Jackie, my wife, started looking into the faith, and she got great strength from the Bible, and I couldn't quite understand it, and so I went to investigate as well, and I'd read the Gospels, and there's no doubt that Jesus Christ was a phenomenal teacher and a great healer, and a wise man, had all the life hacks, but this God thing was still avoiding me. And I read books from the front. So the problems came, chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God. And then, in the beginning, God created. And that was so countercultural to everything I'd been brought up with. And it just happened to be a pastor that was my wife was talking with. He challenged me to find out a few things which I thought would be nice and easy, except the more that I looked into it, the more and more my worldview started to evaporate, that the things I'd believed weren't actually true. They didn't marry up with actually what you see in life and what you see in the world. And so very slowly I started to understand that the Bible was way more reliable, more logical, more rational than this worldview that I'd grown up with. And so it got to a point where I trusted God. I believed in God, which suddenly then meant that everything about Christ was true as well. And that didn't just have an effect on the things I did. It was actually right in my heart, and my very being had to change, which is a process that's still going on.
And Jim, obviously, coming to faith at age 40, that's meaning life change. You're in an industry which is mainly male-dominated. You're an architect working in the building industry as well. Kind of no-nonsense guys. What did it look like to bring your faith into the workplace? Because I think some would be tempted to kind of go, okay, well, I'll be a Christian at home and on the weekends, but when I'm on the work site, I'm not going to. What did that look like for you?
Yeah. Yes, it was quite strange. You're used to this male-dominated society where there's a lot of aggression, there's a lot of arrogance, there's a lot of pride, there's a lot of blokiness. And it's quite difficult to understand if you're not Christian. As soon as you're Christian, you understand that everybody has equal worth. Some people have different skills, they have different experiences, they have different resources, but everybody has the same value. And to be able to talk to people on the same level, but just to understand that they do have these different experiences, helps you get a relationship, a real relationship, rather than a boss-employee or a whatever it is, line manager relationship. And you can see beyond just that job title to actually who they are. And it enables you, and I give the example that if I need to know about plastering, as an architect, I'd probably be able to go away and look it up in books and do the rest of it. The best place to get that information is to go and talk to the plasterer on site. He knows more about plastering than I'd ever know, in a lifetime. So you need to work with people and to get that relationship. So there isn't a hierarchy. There just happens to be some people have got certain roles to do, and we all work together. And then when you're talking to people, if you don't swear, if you don't get animated, if you don't use that blame culture, then the conversation calms down, becomes more realistic. You get a lot more out of the conversations, and that relationship can build. And so I think people enjoy that that relationship more than previously.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think that a lot of folks would think that, okay, if I'm acting like a Christian in my workplace, I'm going to take a lot of heat. Have you seen that to be the case for you?
Sometimes, yes. You do take some heat. I remember in my office, and it's very difficult if you're an employer to not lord it over the employees. But I remember somebody calling out, saying, had an argument, Jim will pray for you. And I remember saying, I always pray for you. And the office just calmed down. And it was, you know that there's some people giggling. But I would have giggled when I was 30 or whatever. But I learned, and they could learn. And that's fine. If they learn in the end, then I'll take the heat. I don't mind.
See, that's quite interesting. In taking the heat there, you're also exposing folks to the light of Christ, which is really quite exciting. We're really thrilled to have you here in a leadership role here at church, because you bring a lot of things to the table, and we don't lead as one individual, but as a team. How can we be praying for you particularly as you step into this role as an elder here at church?
Okay. I'm not here because I've got it all together. I'm not here because I know everything. I'm learning, and you need to be patient with me. One of my talents is that I'm a problem solver. That it's just the way I am. So I sometimes jump in to try and solve problems when the problem doesn't really need solving. People just want to talk or do whatever. So really one of the prayers really is that I would meet people where they're at, not where I think they should be, so that I actually understand the people. I mean, it's that touchy-feely stuff that's all a bit non-blokey. But bear with me.
And Jim, one of the things I love about you is that you just have a heart for sharing your faith with other people. Yeah. When I first met Jim, immediately he was like, so when are you running the next Christianity Explored course? Can I come along? Can I sit on it? I'll happily help out. And that passion to teach people about Jesus and to share the good news about Jesus. First of all, tell us, where does that come from? What does that look like in your life? Because I think that's something that we all struggle with a bit.
Yeah, well, for 40-odd years, I was living a lie. I just thought it was about me. It was about how I got on, how, me and mine. And it's not about that at all. It's God wants us to enjoy him, and you can't enjoy him unless you know him. I mean, he created us. He wants us to live life to the full. And to do that, you've got to understand him and just listen to him. The teaching is incredible, but it needs to be a heart thing. It's not a head thing. So the more that we can explain to people, it doesn't diminish if we give away. So if we can give people that invitation to come and find out about Christ, we don't lose anything. We gain friends. We gain relationships. It's really important that people understand who Christ is and how he can help them. Help me, help anybody else. Yeah.
Jim, I want to thank you so much for sharing with us. Do stick around afterwards. I'm sure Jim would be happy to answer any follow-up questions.